Darren Cole's conviction didn't end the story. In many ways, it only deepened the mystery. After Judge West handed down the life sentence without parole, Darren was quietly transferred to Black Hollow Penitentiary, a maximum security facility nestled in the northern hills, far from the public eye. The official reason was security risk, but those close to the case whispered other things. That he was too strange. That the guards at Fulton had started quitting in waves. That one even went missing. Whatever the reason, Darren disappeared from the public view, and the world moved on. For a while. Until the letters started again. Judge West received the first one exactly 3 months after the trial ended. No return address. No postmark. Just a plain white envelope with his name handwritten in perfect cursive. Inside, one sentence. He never stopped watching. At first, West assumed it was a prank. Maybe a disgruntled court watcher or someone angry about the trial. But the next envelope arrived a week later. This time it included a photograph. A grainy black and white, still taken from inside Black Hollow. It showed Darren, again in the middle of the night, sitting in his bed, eyes wide open, staring at the camera the same way he had in Fulton County. But there was something new. Behind him, scribbled on the concrete wall in what looked like pencil, or worse, were dozens of names. Names that, upon closer inspection, Judge West recognized. They were names from his past trials, defendants, witnesses, even a few jurors, and at the very bottom was his own. The judge didn't sleep that night, and the next morning he called the warden of Black Hollow, demanding an explanation. Warden Daniels, an ex-military man with a reputation for never flinching, was unusually tense on the call. He admitted Darren had been isolated after several unusual incidents, but refused to elaborate. When pressed, he only said, "We've had some strange nights, sir, but nothing I can put in an official report." West hung up more uneasy than before. Meanwhile, inside Black Hollow, things were unraveling. Darren's presence infected the block like a disease. Inmates in nearby cells began reporting vivid hallucinations, shadows moving in their periphery, whispered voices calling their names. A few were caught scratching at the walls in the middle of the night, bleeding and shaking, unable to explain why they did it. One guard, Officer Romero, was found standing outside Darren's cell at 3:12 a.m., completely still, just staring in. When questioned, he claimed he felt like something was pulling him forward. He had no memory of how long he'd been there. 2 days later, Romero resigned. Then came the incident that made everything worse. Inmate Terrence Grant, a lifer with no history of mental illness, attacked a chaplain during routine prayer hour, screaming something about the man in the mirror, and he said she was still screaming. When they subdued him, he was shaking violently and crying. During questioning, he said Darren had told him something he shouldn't have known, about his past, about a night Grant had tried to forget for 20 years. Details that weren't in his file, details he'd never shared aloud. He said he heard her begging. He described the smell of her perfume. Grant sobbed. No one knew that. No one could know that. Black Hollow's warden requested psychological evaluations for every inmate on Darren's block. 3 were transferred to psychiatric units within a month. Darren, however, remained calm, polite, cooperative, never violent, never loud, but always watching, always silent, until the night a prison librarian went missing. Her name was Cheryl Lewis, 42, mother of 2. She had volunteered to help inmates access books and GED materials. Cheryl was the kind of person who saw the good in everyone, even Darren. She believed he deserved a second chance at purpose, if not freedom. She often brought him books he requested, always strange choices, ancient philosophy, occult history, journals of serial killers. She said it was morbid curiosity, Her last known conversation was with Darren. She told another staff member she was going to drop off a book he'd asked for, The Silence of the Hollow, a banned manuscript known for its disturbing content. She never came back. An emergency search ensued. Her car was still in the lot. Her purse was in the staff room. Every inch of the prison was searched, including Darren's cell. Nothing. No trace of her. But when officers reviewed surveillance footage, they discovered something chilling. At exactly 9:02 p.m., Cheryl entered the hallway that led to the isolation wing. She had a book in her hands, but the camera feed glitched just before she reached Darren's cell. When it resumed, 4 minutes later, she was gone. No exit futi. No doors opened. She had simply vanished. When investigators examined the footage frame by frame, they noticed something deeply disturbing. The moment before the glitch, Darren could be seen standing at the bars, smiling for the first time since his incarceration. The prison went into lockdown. The FBI got involved, but no one ever found Cheryl Lewis. Her family was devastated. Darren refused to speak during questioning. He simply sat there calm, composed, until one agent leaned in and whispered, "Where is she?" Darren tilted his head and said quietly, "She's where the others are, waiting." The agent reportedly left the room pale and shaken. Word spread through the system. Inmates at other facilities began writing letters, cryptic notes warning about a man who speaks when no one listens and writes on walls that disappear by morning. Judge West received a third envelope. This time, it contained a crude sketch. Darren, surrounded by what appeared to be countless eyes. Some wide open, some crying, some crossed out. At the bottom, a line written in Darren's distinct handwriting. "You saw only one side of the mirror. The other side remembers." By now, Judge West was struggling to sleep. He had taken on hundreds of cases, but none had followed him like this. He reached out to retired legal colleagues. Two remembered Darren from earlier juvenile cases, strange minor incidents where kids claimed they were manipulated into doing things they couldn't explain. The name Cole had surfaced more than once, always brushed aside due to lack of evidence or inconsistencies. But the pattern was there, a long history of subtle influence, psychological manipulation, almost preternatural insight. Meanwhile, inside Black Hollow, Darren requested new reading materials. This time, ancient manuscripts, untranslated languages, forgotten rituals. He never broke the rules, never acted out. But somehow, guards started hearing noises at night. Rhythmic thumping, chanting in tongues no one recognized. And on several occasions, multiple staff members heard what sounded like a woman crying, coming from inside Darren's sealed cell. One night, Warden Daniels had enough. He ordered the cameras removed and demanded a one-on-one interview with Darren. What happened in that room was never officially recorded. But Daniels walked out 23 minutes later, resigned the following morning, and was never seen in the public eye again. His resignation letter read only, "I saw it. I saw the void." After that, Judge West visited Black Hollow personally. He said he needed to close this chapter, to face what haunted him. He met with the interim warden, asked for an in-person observation. He was granted 10 minutes outside Darren's glass cell. Darren was already seated, waiting, smiling gently. It was the first time West had ever seen him in person outside of court. There was something chillingly calm in his demeanor. They exchanged no words. Darren only placed a hand on the glass and mouthed, "You dream of me, don't you?" That night, Judge West had a vivid nightmare. In it, he was in an empty courtroom. The gallery was full of shadows. No faces, just shapes. Darren stood at the bench in the judge's seat. And West, he was the defendant, unable to speak, unable to move, just listening as Darren recited his life back to him. Every secret, every flaw, every moment of doubt. When he awoke, his bedsheets were soaked in sweat, and one word was scratched into the headboard with something sharp. Remember. 2 months later, Darren was moved again, to an undisclosed location. Some say it was an underground facility designed for psychological anomalies. Others say he never made it there, that the transfer van arrived empty, that he simply vanished. No one official would confirm. Judge West retired quietly, citing health reasons. But in private, he told a colleague that he kept hearing a voice when he was alone. A whisper, soft and cold. You only sentence the man, not what lives inside him. Darren Cole became more than a case. He became a story shared in whispers in late-night legal circles among prison guards who refused to work isolation blocks. They say evil wears many faces. Darren wore a polite one, a calm one, but beneath it was something else, something far older, far colder, something that never really left, and perhaps never will, because evil doesn't always rage. Sometimes it waits, and watches, and smiles,